and welcome to the next episode of the Beach Court Podcast. Today we have a special guest on the podcast. We have Brent Tonisson joining us for an interview later. Again, our Melbourne Regional Champion and Monterey Regional Champion. The interview is really great. We deep dive into his Gardevoir 60. That is really the deck to beat right now in the TCG, and hear about his travel and how he tests and prepares for tournaments to be one of the best players in the game like he is right now. So we're also going to be recapping the results of all of the tournaments last weekend all over the world. And we're going to close out with Crispin's Corner and do a quick tier list ahead of Portland. I'm your guest host for today while Eric is out, Maddox Corcoran, joined by Parker Greenwald, regular on the pod. And do need to give a shout to Eric Ridgeway, who is out for this week, but for a very, very good reason. He and his wife just gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, EJ. So congrats to Eric and Maddie on their new baby boy. So excited for y'all to be parents and excited to have a world with EJ in it. So Eric will see you back in a couple weeks. But until then, Parker and I holding it down. So again, Eric's having a good weekend. Parker, how's your Destined Rivals pre-release? I think based off your polls, you're also having a pretty good weekend.
So the pre-release event itself again was sad because I had to turn away probably close to 15 people. Um we only got 40 kits, so we did have pre-registration this time, which was, I think, definitely beneficial because the regulars that wanted to play got to play. But sadly a lot of people missed out on it, but it was super fun, super busy day. Everyone was hyped to be playing, and we saw some good pulls. I saw two of the SIR of the Moltres. Um, I don't know if I saw any Mewtwo's except for my own, which I happened to pull. It was absolutely crazy. It's I had my girlfriend open the packs and she was like, "Is this one good?" And I was just like, "Oh my god,
is this one good?" Yes, it is. So that's awesome.
Yeah. How was your weekend? I saw you went to a League Cup.
Yeah, I did go to the League Cup. I didn't quite get there. But before that, I did go to the Nakama midnight pre-release. Again, I think doing the midnight pre-releases are so fun. Like playing with the cards, the minute they are legal, it's Friday night into Saturday. So midnight Saturday morning, we're there at Nakama playing with the cards. So it was fun. I didn't pull anything that great. I pulled a Ethan's Ho-Oh in my pack afterwards. So that was cool. But yeah, nothing too much there. I did go to a League Cup. I was planning to play Raging Bolt, a little bit inspired from our interview with Christian Labella, and just that list of 60 is pretty good, except I threw a Turo in there. So I was prepared to play it. However, I left the deck at home, so I had to play with what was in my bag, which is my Goldango Dragapult. So I wasn't super prepared for it. I don't think the deck is as well positioned. Unfortunately, I made it to finals, but lost to McKinley, Joltik Box, and game one just never really got off the ground. Game two, made a little slight miscalculation on using one of my Turos, and then lost with my second Metal Energy in the prizes. This is my last prize card. But overall, still had a good time. Always good to compete at a high level. Just kind of trying to keep the gears turning on this little bit of a tournament break before NAIC.
Yeah.
So, but the big events from this weekend were the major tournaments all over the world. So we have a lot to recap. So we'll kind of jump into that. Yeah. But first off, Gardevoir won a few more major events. To no surprise, Brent Tonisson was one of them, winning Melbourne Regionals with the exact same 60 cards he's been playing the past 3 weeks or so. Again, really excited to talk to Brent later. Make sure you stick around for that interview. It was great hearing about his process. He's proven it. If anyone didn't believe in the Brent 60 before, it's now there.
You have to.
Yeah. Gardevoir did also win in Santiago. A little bit of a different list. I think pretty close. William Acevedo, again, another fantastic player playing a very good deck. Looks like just, did play an Arvin build. So I think in the rare, and just the one rare can't go with. So a little bit of a different build than what Brent did. He opted for the TM Evo, but again, still showing that Gardevoir is still in a very, very good spot. And then Dragapult finally had its first win in this format as the big bad in Utrecht.
Yeah.
So I think we all kind of predicted that this would finally be the weekend for Dragapult, and finally came through. So
Still hasn't won a regional though.
yeah,
It was just a special.
it won a special championship and not won a regional, right?
Yeah.
So
Still
maybe
no
has a chance in
regional
Portland.
wins.
So
Yeah.
exactly. But all right. So, but let's go jump into these first couple of tournaments. So I think we'll start with Melbourne again with Brent Tonisson, who we're going to have on the pod in just a little bit. Again, Gardevoir really dominating this top cut. 5 of the 8 decks in top cut being Gardevoir. I know it was 11-person ASIM, and they were almost all Raging Bolts that mostly lost. But
Yep.
Parker made up a good point. The Raging Bolt, pretty surprising conversion in day 2 for Raging Bolt, right? Parker?
Yeah, actually, it was the most popular deck in day 2, at 20%. That had like a 30% conversion rate or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
there were several tournaments. I mean, I think in Utrecht and in Santiago, Raging Bolt was the second most played deck overall. So like Dragon Bolt number 1 still, and then Raging Bolt passing Gardevoir, which has been winning all the tournaments. I know Raging Bolt's a popular play. It's still a very good deck. It's converting well. You'd think more people would be picking up Gardevoir, though. I mean, what do you think, Marker? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I guess Gardevoir is like a little bit harder to play, and like bricking is scary with it. But like, trust me when I say that you can make a lot of comebacks. The deck just like it's so good at playing from behind, all the counter catchers Ionos, and then slamming you with the one prizer. Like, it's really tough to play against. But like I said, like I always say, people love their Raging Bull. So.
aren't we in a weird spot now where it's saying, oh, the deck where you use your knock towels to find your tech supporters and pull off plays, is the easy to play Raging Bolt deck, and the deck where you just play 4 research, 4 Iono, and just plow through
I
your
know.
deck is Gardevoir, right? But when you add the Monkey Dories and like all the different attacking options and like limited resources, it does change it up a bit. So, um, yeah, I mean, Brent, we talked to him a few. He even talks about like, Gardevoir's a little kind of like Reggie Drago, like he was playing as well too. Like you're just like playing a bunch of research, just plowing through. So
a little bit actually.
yeah. Okay, so but for rest of Melbourne, so we did see a Guardy versus Guardy finals. Brent taking down Jeremy in finals in a Gardevoir mirror. But then also a couple other, strong names there. We did see several Japanese players making the trip to Melbourne. Again, if they are able to win, they're able to get their invite, which is easier than winning a Champions League, basically. So Daichi with the 3rd place
Yeah.
with the Terror Box. So shout out to them for a great run.
Yeah.
The big takeaway: no Dragapult in top 16 of Melbourne, which that's a baffling stat. We know it did win a different tournament on the weekend. There was a Dragapult Dusknor at 18th place, but we saw the top 8. A lot of Raging Bolt, an ASIM Raging Bolt, lots of Gardevoir, and lots of decks that are pretty anti-Dragapult. So I think a little bit of an anomaly there.
Yeah. The I think there were a lot of people inspired to play Gardevoir, and like played well. Definitely has a solid Dragon Ball matchup.
Definitely.
So.
You did point out there's a couple of highlight decks. We have a Walls in top 16 of Melbourne.
Oh my god! Yeah, actually, the highest placing deck that didn't make top cut was Walls at Melbourne.
Yeah, I was looking at this run. He entered it was Jimmy who entered 5-2-1, so almost mathematically eliminated. Maybe Melbourne still a chance, but I guess went 3-0 in day 2, hitting a Joltik and 2 Raging Bolts, which do not have great Walls matchups, but
pretty good
made the right call. Won some money for it. Can't go wrong there.
Heck
and also, I think we're doing a full Crispin's Corner later, but I think the Crispin's Corner highlight from day 2 is we saw a Tyranitar in day 2 of Melbourne.
Yes.
Parker, why don't you tell us about this list a little bit?
Yeah, 84th place. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Tibor, maybe. But when that card came out, I was like, like this card is actually good. Like, but I don't know like how good. But he cooked up a pretty solid list. So it's got two Badoos, so you got a good chance to get the early item lock. And feasibly, your opponent could never play items for the whole game. So that's pretty scary. So Tyranitar, when he's active, he's like Trevenant from back in the day. Your opponent just can't play any item cards. And then its attacks also 2 for 150, and you discard the top 2 of your opponent's deck. So like you could discard their researchers, their Ionos,
Yeah.
and boom, they just don't get to play the game. And
Yeah.
it's got the Dracloaks for the draw support, and it's also got Monkey Dories because you play Dark Energies, so why not?
Yeah, I mean the 3/3 cloak line for some draw to go along with a 4/2/3 Tyranitar line, double Badoo, double Monkey. Included the Pokemon League, or sorry, included the neutralization zone as the ace spec. Again, it's an all single prize deck. What I thought was smart is they played a Pokemon League headquarters in a Calamitous Wasteland. So you're like, oh, these stadiums are awful. I got to get rid of
So
them.
annoying.
And then
Yeah.
they drop the neutralization zone as a third stadium. You're like, oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
like if they milled a stadium or something, like again, if you're playing
Yeah.
like so many decks, like if you're playing against a Raging Bolt and they have like Area Zero early, and then like you mill Jamming Tower, and then they like bump your league headquarters with another, like you can just drop the neutralization zone and it's just staying for the rest of the game.
Win.
So yeah, so some cool decks there. We'll keep it moving along to Santiago. Santiago again. We did see Dragapult take it home, and making it past 2 Joltik boxes in top 4. So,
Yeah.
hey,
Crazy.
and a raging and William Acevedo taking down Julian with a Raging Bolt in finals. Oh, sorry, no, Santiago was Gardevoir still. My bad.
Santiago's the. Oh yeah.
Utrecht was Dragon Bolt. But yeah, William Acevedo with Gardevoir taking down the Raging Bolt in finals, Julian. But making it back past the Joltik boxes. Again, must be a close one there. But a couple other highlight decks. We saw 7 different decks in top 8. It's always cool to see like a super diverse meta. Including like Dragapult and a Dragapult Charizard. We saw Terapagos Noctowl make it back. I'm shout out Owen Dalgard, friend of the pod, with the Flareon box in top 8. I know we were kind of predicting where Flareon would fall this weekend. Parker correctly predicted a top 8, so shout out to him for that. Yeah, and I think other than that, I mean, we did see a larger ASIM, 12 person ASIM, so a little wider ASIM here. I think the big story though is the 16th place deck. Our good old friend Great Tusk Mill at 16th place.
Yeah. People really pulling out all the spice in this format. You're like, hey, all these decks draw a bunch of cards. So what if I just milled them too?
Yeah, I mean, it's in some matchups, right? I mean, you just go and mill like Palpat and Sada against a Raging Bolt. Maybe they're done. Again, plays the neutralization zone. It's great Tusk Mill deck. Played this Row 6 Machinations. The great Tusk Mill with the 3/3 to Dunsparce line for some draw. I don't know. I mean, like, just hey, when it works, it works. I mean, like they have something down. Neutralization zone's pretty good right now. Did include the redeemable ticket. You love a good redeemable ticket showing. Yeah. Shuffle your prize cards back into the deck. Get some movement there. Well, yeah, cool to see again. Gardevoir taking it down again, and not really a surprise. Rest of the meta pretty straightforward from there. But again, Raging Bolt number 2 deck here, and another pretty good conversion rate. So I think a lot of people gaining some confidence in what they saw from Christian Labella and trusting Raging Bolt as a serious contender.
Yeah, definitely. We had it at C tier on our most recent tier list, and then it ended up winning the event.
Yeah, well, that's the whole reason we had to do a tier list, because Parker was like, hey, we called Raging Bolt C tier. We have to correct this. So I'm like, all right, you're right. So
yeah.
We'll keep it moving. Again, Utrecht Special Championships. Now, again, here, where we had Dragapult missing in other tournaments. I mean, Utrecht was when finally Dragapult showed up. We saw 5 out of 8 in top cut with the Dragapult decks. Three slow Dragapult, 1 Dragapult Dusknoir, and 1 Dragapult Charizard. We saw Joa taking it down, beating Alberto Conti in finals in the Dragapult Mirror. But again, finally Dragapult seeing its regional win in this format, which we kind of knew was coming for so long.
Yeah, I would have been shocked.
Yeah, and I think a lot of players in Europe, enjoy playing Dragapult. Saw a good showing with it there. A couple other standouts. We did see a Zoroark in top 8. Again, we saw some in top 8 in Milwaukee. See it back again with Jan top 8 with the Zoroark list again. Let's see. I think it was a clean cut top 8 here, just 29 match points.
Yeah.
We did have one. We did talk about which rogue deck was going to see the most success overall between Charizard and Dragapult. While we saw some Dragapult Charizards, wasn't quite what we meant.
Roaring Moon.
Oh, Roaring Moon. Sorry, yeah. Dragapult is not a rogue deck. Definitely not a rogue deck. Between straight Charizard and Roaring Moon. We saw some Charizard sneaking into Dragapult list, but not a straight Charizard. But we did see the Roaring Moon at 9th place at Utrecht. So, winner of our rogue deck there. But, I mean, yeah, this is straight up like Poison Package, Roaring Moon, EX, with the little ones as well. Again, cool to see like Roaring Moon alive and well. A deck that many of us on the Beach Court Pod have enjoyed for a little while now. Now, as you know, we are the Beach Court Podcast. We're also the Okie Dokie Podcast. Got a quick shout out to Matthew, 31st place in Utrecht with the Okie Dokie deck. Okie Dokie the Dunsparce with Scyther and a bunch of other stuff. So, Parker, you're Okie Dokie guy. I mean, what do you think of this pile of lists?
I looked at it. Honestly, looks really solid. I like it. You got the Dunsparce for draw power. You also got the EX, which has a shred attack, and also a 1 energy attack that's really good against Terror Box and Raging Bolt. You got Okie Dokie, which has way too much health for a 1 prizer. You slap a Bravery Charm on it. It's got 280 health as a 1 prizer.
Or a 0 prizer if you play Legacy Energy, which is the included A spec.
If it also has Legacy Energy on it. But yeah, honestly, might have to sleeve this up because that's Okie Dokie was a Pokemon I didn't know existed, and then slowly became one of my favorite Pokemon just because its name is Okie Dokie.
Yeah. Yeah, also this list here from Matthew had the 2 Caesar, again, just another efficient attacker. Again, this deck utilizing fighting and luminous energy with the 3 Crispin to help power it up. I think it's really just saying it's almost a toolbox of just like attackers where you have Okie Dokie is the main one. You have like a backup into the Dunsparce EX, and your Caesar as a strong attacker with luminous energy. Including the bundle, the Bravery Charms, and again the Legacy Energy and the Colress's Tenacity to help search it out as well. So, really, really cool list to see. And I think the other list I wanted to highlight, just as a Goldango enjoyer, is that none other than Yell, Goldango's strongest champion, is back with the newest Goldango pile. And honestly, go look up Yell's 44th place Utrecht list because it is wild the longer you look at it.
It is a sight to behold.
Yeah, a 4/4 Goldango line, but includes a 2/1/2 Pidgeot EX line to go along with a 1/1 Cerulege line and a 1/01 Dusknoir line. So, leaning into the power of, Goldango, Arven for Evo, but including Pidgeot for extra consistency, and decided to play 2 rare candies for the Pidgeot, but it says, hey, if you're playing 2 rare candies, might as well throw in a Dusknoir in there while you're at it. And you have the Cerulege for a little late game closer, including the copy of Briar to take 3 with Briar late. So, I mean, I think what's ridiculous, the fact that you could go, your opponent takes a knockout, you go respond with like Goldango. I mean, they take 2 prizes even, right? And then you go Goldango, eSearch Pro, KO. They KO you back, and then you're like, all right, Briar, Pop Dusknoir, and then Abyssal Flames for game, like kind of ready combo. So this is a deck that I want to try as well as the Goldango enjoyer here. So, but yeah, again, lots going on this past week. Lots of cool lists. We're excited to like dive into the rogue decks here after our interview with Brent. But again, a lot of cool Pokemon to play. A lot of cool lists showing up, and again, Dragapult getting that first win, but it cannot be overstated just how dominant Guardy continues to be and how many top players keep going to Gardevoir. So,
oh yeah,
Parker, any thoughts or anything else you want to talk about with these last events?
Oh, I mean, like the meta is somewhat what I expected, but it's exciting to see still.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of the variety, especially in like Santiago, like seeing like 7 decks in the top 8. There's so much variety, right? Even though Gardevoir and Dragapult are the strongest decks, there's a lot of things you can play and still see strong finishes with. All right. Well, we're going to jump over now to our interview with Brent Tonisson. Again, it was great to sit down with him and, hear about everything he has to say and talk about Gardevoir. So we'll see you there with Brent Tonisson.
Hey everyone, my name is Eric Ridgeway. I'm the host of the Beach Court Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And if you're enjoying it, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe on this video on YouTube. That really help out the podcast a lot. We've got more episodes, highlights, and more coming your way. Thanks for listening. And now back to the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beach Court Podcast. I'm here with none other than Brent Tonisson, fresh off of his latest regional win in Melbourne. Brent Tonisson, 6-time regional champion, 2 regional wins this season, really in the past month with Gardevoir, and also second place at LAIC earlier this season. And I just had to check on the leaderboard. I think, running away with the championship point race, over 2,000 championship points. This guy's an unbelievable player. Thrilled to have him on. Brent, how's it going?
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Brent Tonisson. I'm from Sydney, and I've been playing for like 12 years.
Yeah. So absolutely, and it shows your experience, right? You've been playing very well, having a really, really good, stretch this past month. How are you feeling right off of the, latest regional win?
I'm feeling good. It is kind of incredible. Like, I didn't think that I'd get more than 1 regional win this season. Like, I've been averaging like 1 every season. I think I won 1 in like the 19 to 22 season, like only the 1 though in the 19 part, none in the 22. But then I won 1 the year after that. I won 1 the year before that, 1 year after that, 1 the year after that. So it always seems to be like I get 1 every year. And this year, after I think I was 13 regionals down without a win, no finals either. And I'm like, I'm not sure I'm getting a regional win this season. And I got 1, and then I got 2. So I don't know. I guess I read it all.
There you go. Well, you said no regional wins, but you did have an IC second place, which is pretty huge on its own. But and actually, you're the back-to-back Melbourne regional champion, I believe.
Yeah. Fun fact is, I have 6 regional wins. I have Kuala Lumpur twice, Melbourne twice, Sydney and Monterey. I've never failed to defend a title because I've gotten 2 chances to defend a title now, and I've won it both times.
Wow. There you go. Never lost a title, Brent Tonisson, and never will lose a title. Optimistically, right? So.
Yeah, maybe. Melbourne's gonna be back next year, so maybe Monterey as well. So we got some work to do.
Awesome stuff. Well, Brent, super excited to have you on. I want to dive into all of your world traveling for Pokemon, all your achievements. I want to let the group get to know you a little bit more. For anyone who doesn't know, the man behind the incredible Gardevoir player here today. So, you already told us playing for 12 years. I guess it's been playing a long time. Are you enjoying the format a lot right now, or is there a previous format that you enjoyed the most? What would you say maybe one of your favorite formats from your time playing has been?
I think one of my favorite has to have been sometime around 2017, 2018. I felt like those were really good formats.
Was there a certain deck that you enjoyed, or go ahead?
I played a lot of the Zorak decks, but I also do feel like I appreciate those formats more now than I did at the time. Which I feel like is a thing a lot of the time because everyone is always whenever there's a format and it's the current format, it's standard is terrible. It's terrible right now. The game's the worst state it's ever been. And then you look back and man, I really wish I was playing that format. Although I do have to say there are certain formats that we look back and we're like, no. I think we can all collectively agree this was not a good one. But a lot of the time there's a lot of pessimism about standard format. And even though there's a lot of formats that are standard that are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's they're a lot of formats can be solid, maybe not as good as the one favorite format you played years ago, but sometimes right, everyone does love to kind of bag on the current format. So does the Zoroark history maybe help you enjoy some refinement Curlias back from playing a lot of it last season?
Yeah, I didn't play much refinement. Oh no, I did. I played Gardevoir for the first third of the season, so
yeah. But also even NAIC.
Yeah, I bubbled out NAIC with that. So yeah, that was kind of sad. But yeah, I always played refinement. I always did trade. I'm used to a lot of that. I played Dragapult, which is the closest thing these days, I guess, outside of Zoroark. So I've always used those kind of things. But I guess Gardevoir now, the main reason I'm using it is not because of that trade ability. In fact, there's a very noticeable lack of trade ability in the deck.
Yeah,
but I guess it's more similar to Reggie Drago now, which which is another deck that I also seem to pick up.
Exactly, yeah. It says, I'm tired of trade. Let's just play 4 research, 4 Iono, and just like plow through the deck.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm just gonna Ultra Ball some cards, Cleffa for 5. That's basically like I used 2 trades. It's
you've basically been playing the same deck all season, right? So
yeah, I guess so.
A little Dragapult break in there. So all right, so we got all sidetracked from this quick hitter. So what's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon? This one's actually kind of funny when we get later on into other questions, but it's Mew.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the one that cut from the deck. Yeah, that one.
The noticeable non-inclusion in your Gardevoir deck. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure that might have tugged on the heartstrings. So we're gonna dive in a little bit later into some of your list choices. A lot of people were curious about that. And I know you play a lot of Pokemon, but what's your favorite thing to do when you're not playing Pokemon?
This one's tough. I mean, I've noticeably done substantially less non-Pokemon things. The older I get, I guess. I don't know. At this point, like this is tough because I don't do that much outside of Pokemon now. It's
Well, when you're traveling every weekend for it and playing at the highest level
Yeah.
and coaching, I'm sure it's all in on the season. Like when July comes around and you have a little bit of downtime, is there something you're looking forward to doing?
in the downtime, I mean, not really anymore. Like I would say, like chess is probably the game I played the next
really?
most at this point. I mean, I'm not a particularly big player, like 14 to 1600, but I wouldn't say I'm like someone who's big, but like it's something that I'd probably just play on the side if I'm bored because I don't actually play live ladder, so I guess that's what I play instead.
You're like live ladder, no. Chess.com, I can do that though.
Yeah, that one's easier. That one's easier to do.
There you go. It's a better app for it. So, all right. So I mean, so let's get into a little more of that traveling, right? I mean, I think that you said this was Melbourne was your 13th major this season. You said.
Oh no, the 13th was after Atlanta.
Oh, sorry.
So,
wait, 13th was
not
Atlanta.
13th.
Okay.
No, 13th regionals. My bad.
Oh, 13th regional. Okay.
Yeah. So I've done 16 regionals now this season.
Yeah, so 16 regionals now plus NAIC and Worlds, right? So you'll hit 18 major events by the end of the season, right? So
20 because the 2 ICs already. So yeah.
20
so,
majors. That's incredible.
Yes, 16 regionals, 3 ICs and Worlds. Not doing Portland.
No Portland, yeah. So you thought about winning a 3rd regional in this format, but decided to save some for the rest of us, not steal another invite from North America. So,
yeah, well, there is a bit of a funny law with this one. Like, I am kind of flaky because I did say I had some friends where I said to them I'd be like, yeah, I'll go to Portland if I win, and now I might just back out on that. Like I said, I'm like, if I win Melbourne, and then and then now I still just don't want to go. Like, I really just don't want to book last minute flight. The prices aren't actually that bad though. For what the cheapest rates I can get up, the prices aren't bad. Like I'm barely paying over the cheapest if I fly now.
That's pretty good then. So
yeah,
I guess not a lot of people are trying to go to Portland in May from Australia.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I guess so.
All right, so I mean, as you're traveling that week to week, right? So I mean, you had Atlanta, Monterey, right? You have all these back-to-back, regionals kind of going on constantly, right? What is that day and what is that week of travel like? So you just finished Atlanta. Okay, now you got to get to Monterey. I mean, are you able to, what's that during the week? Are you doing coaching? Are you testing or refining your list? Or are you just trusting your process and going from there? What's that day in the life like as you go through the in-between tournaments?
Well, I think it's quite different depending on the tournament results sometimes. If I do really well at the tournament, then it's more like I'm just going to be picking up coaching. If I'm not doing that well, I might actually just prepare. Or if I really feel like doing coaching, I'll try to pick up more coaching instead. But I didn't do much coaching. I stayed with a friend. We actually more hung out than I did prep more than anything. I did some prep though because I'm like, okay, well, I know that I wasn't prepared for Atlanta. I knew that I had to learn a lot more. I had to learn more about specifically how to beat. I had to prep into how was I going to beat Henry Chow Zoroark. If I was going to play my deck still was one. If I'm going to play against Henry Chow Zoroark, I need to get better into the Pulp matchup, even though I didn't lose any games to that, and I still haven't lost. I haven't lost. Well, yeah, I didn't lose any games at that point, myself and lost the set to Paul, which is like very surprising. And then I also needed practice against Goldango because like all my losses were actually just mirrors in Goldango at that tournament. Like it was 2 Dangos, 2 Guardies, and the main reason I was losing was just because I didn't play well enough. So I just didn't make sure that I was good enough in those matchups. So I really just prepared. I only really prepared Guardi, Goldango, and Dragapult matchup going into Monterey from there. But I didn't do that much prep.
So, but like 1 week of prep, again, focusing on those 3 matchups, like how are you going about testing those matchups? Is it
mostly against myself, and then I discuss with friends sometimes. I don't even know if I did for that one. But basically, just like I know that the reason I'm losing is just because I don't know the lines at all. It's like I just did not know what I was doing against Goldango, like optimal approaches. Like when I have every option, I'm drawing everything I need. It's like I still don't know how meant to approach it, and at that point, it's just not good enough.
So how many, say like Goldango, for example? I mean, like how much time are you spending like over the table, like before Monterey, like prepping that? And I'm sure a lot of time like conceptually as well. But...
Yeah, a lot of it's conceptual, but you only need like at least a couple hours to find some approaches, and at least just have a solid game plan. Like sometimes you don't even have the perfect game plan. Like whatever you come up with isn't the best, but if it's like one of the good game plans, that's kind of just enough a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I mean, again, you're just sitting down and saying, okay, how many different ways can I find to win this game, or like the best approach? And when you're playing both sides, kind of like knowing, okay, here's how I as Goldango could try to punish this Guardy setup, and vice versa.
Yeah. Like I guess like the big one that I did learn was like more so to just not be that scared of Turo, especially like the earlier they are on the prizes, or if they've taken more prize cards, and the Anakin just makes them miss it anyway. So I usually just like did not respect Turo, whereas I was respecting it too much at Atlanta. And yeah, I think not respecting Turo was definitely what led to me getting the win against Kale Brothers in top 4, because that was the only real time that I think that was the only time I paired Goldango, and I ended up winning in semis because of that. And yeah, if I didn't prep that, I don't think I would have won that.
Awesome. So I know you weren't respecting Turo, but there was one change you made in your list between Atlanta and Monterey, and that was to add Turo. So
yes,
you respected it in one way, but not another. So like how you know. And again, you said just a week to prep. Like, you know, I think it was you cut a counter catcher, a third counter catcher for the one Turo.
Yeah. So originally, I wanted to put Boss as this card instead of Turo. So I lost the mirror mostly because my opponent had Boss and I didn't. Except like Turo would have been basically the same. Like I just need Turo or Boss, and yeah, like I was And yeah, like after losing that mirror, like that was when I felt like my deck list wasn't greedy enough to win the mirror, and I needed to have a little bit more greed. But like, it's not like it was, but like I felt like I was unfavored without the extra greed. And Counter Catch was a card that it was the last card we added for Atlanta because Matthew Burris and I play the same deck, and yeah, like I'm adding that like Counter Catch it. Like there were times where like, we think it was probably good, but it wasn't really necessary. And I think from there, I wanted like the tour as well. Like I kind of wanted like another supporter sometimes as well, just because if you open like box and research, in a lot of matchups, tour is not that good. So I'm like, okay, well that's -1 card in deck that I could not get otherwise because I'm not discarding a draw supporter, and there's no world where I'm discarding a draw supporter. So having another supporter that I can just delete is kind of useful sometimes, because like sometimes you might need it for Ultra Ball as well. There's actually real uses to having a 9th supporter, just because you want to keep all your draw supporters in deck.
Just with the super box energy.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have a 9th supporter, Turo is probably the best one, and I swapped from the boss to Turo the night before Monterey.
I mean, it paid off throughout Monterey, you think? I mean, you've played the same 60 cents, so like,
it paid off.
Your guide, so
it paid off, I think, once in Monterey, but maybe more than once because I played the card. Because Tyler Matthews had the Maractus in the Joltik box.
Oh, yeah.
Because I played the card on my deck, he wasn't going for the trap on my Pheasantipity. And that made it really tough for him. Even in the game where I boxed and I didn't grab it preemptively, he didn't want to go for the trap on the Fez. I mean, I think he was already dead in that game. I think I got like the Candy Guardy fast enough. So I think like even if he sat there killing my Maractus, it wouldn't have mattered. But I did prize at that game, but he still didn't have a confirmation of that because I just took 2 prize cards and I just researched before I had the box. So I could have easily had the Turo anyway.
Right, yeah.
So it wasn't something they could just be like, oh, I'm going to play as if there was no Turo. And I think I probably would have beaten him by just slowly attaching the Fez anyway.
Cruel Arrow.
Yeah. He couldn't Maractus lock me faster than I could just Cruel Arrow for 2. Because I think you need a Maractus lock and power Iron Hands and then get the Iron Hands attack off. And I think it just wasn't going to happen. And I think my deck was too big to get trapped. So I was fine in that game. But then having it in the deck was pretty good. I think there was one time that was really useful because I had like a dead hand. And they were I was getting Podudes. My hand wasn't dead; it was like fine. But then I had the Turo to retreat, and then use Podu again. So I'm like, whoa, this clutch. And I think I won that game because of that. So it was one game, at least one game that it mattered.
That's awesome. No, I think it's funny how you said the best use cases for Turo has been like sometimes I need to discard it off a box, or sometimes I just need my opponent to know that I play it and know that I'm playing the same list. That way, they always know that I have it.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to some of the other Guardy specifics. I mean, you mentioned no Mew, right? You know, Mew's your favorite Pokemon, one of mine as well. I got the big guy up in the top of my shelf.
I got big on the other shelf though. I haven't started putting things in the back yet. I need more space, so I got more shelves. But
just like replace the bed with like your giant Mew plush, probably. So
yeah.
All right, but again, I know like right at the start of the format when Gardevoir was out, right? You know, everyone learned, oh wait, I can do his Mew EX and Lily's Clefairy and pull off the sick, Phantom Dive play. And I think pretty much everyone was building their Gardevoir decks like around to do that. You didn't play Mew EX in any of your tournaments, and you've seen success without it. So I think like talk about that, and I think a little bit, what's the game plan that we'll take into Dragapult instead without the Mew.
Yeah, usually if without Mew, we're looking at 2 monkeys, sometimes 3 monkeys instead. 3 monkeys is better than Mew plus 2 monkeys. 2 monkeys is slightly worse than, or it might be better than having monkey plus Mew. But generally, to compensate, you just need to get an extra monkey in those games. So like it isn't as good, but it's only slightly worse, I would say. And the problem with Mew is it's almost like useless in every other matchup. And I have not lost or tied to a Dragapult yet, so I don't think I've gotten punished for that. But I haven't been hitting that many Dragapults. I don't think I haven't hit a Pult Nor in the last 2 regionals.
Really?
The only Dragapult I've hit a Pult Zard, I've hit a Pult Zard Nor, and I've hit a straight Pult in the last 2. But then I did hit a bunch of Pult Nors at Atlanta and Monterey. But between all 4 tournaments, I am XO against Dragapult decks. So even though I think the matchup's like quite close, actually. Like I think I have a slight edge, but I think it's very close. Like the straight Pult's definitely more favored. But I generally think it's only a slight edge that my deck would have. So getting away with an XO record is definitely some of it's luck, but a lot of it is also having a lot of experience in the matchup.
Yeah, I think a lot of experience in the matchup, a lot of skills of player, and also, I mean, you just haven't lost a lot these last 3 weeks, right? I mean, when you get first, 8th, and 1st, right? You're not losing a lot anyways. So.
Oh yeah, considering my 2 losses at Atlanta were 2 Dengos and 2 Guardies,
right? Yeah.
And then outside of that, I've lost how many times? I lost to Bolt twice as well, and then I lost to the Roaring Moon deck. That's it. Yeah. So it's like. Yeah, there's not much that I've lost to.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I don't know what the other pieces in your list. And you mentioned it in Atlanta. Maybe the reason you didn't 3-peat was you had some hard time finding candy against Christian Labella. So I know he has. Tell us a little bit about that. And only the 2 candies in the list. I know the people.
Yeah, so about that. A lot of my problem there is I just wasn't. I wasn't approaching it correctly. Like even if I'm missing the candy, I had opportunities. Because I was using like a baby Pokemon, on the second turn, by the time I missed it, I should just go like attach to Clefairy, and then go for like counter catch at Iono, force the killing the Clefairy and guarantee the Gardevoir. And then I'm playing from down 4-2 instead of playing down 6-2. So I probably could have given myself openings to win those games, because then after that I can go Iono again, Scream Tail, kill the Hoot Hoot, set up damage on like a Fan Rotom, and then if they don't find anything, then I win the game still. So if I just approach that correctly, yeah, I would have won those games. Like I had to practice that matchup a little bit more. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not the greatest. Honestly, if I read my notes, I would have done a little bit better. But clearly, I already forgot what happened. So, so so I did a lot worse into Raging Ball at Milwaukee than I should have. And yeah, like I think I should have done better. I should have won that game one. I should have been using Mind Bend more against him as well on stream. I could have played that better. I should have won those more of those games against him. Like I think if I just played it better, like even though I understand like 3 candy helps, there's other things you can do. So I was getting away with 2 candy in Melbourne because I just knew what to do. In fact, I only dropped 1 game in the matchup. That's just because I benched poorly in that game. Otherwise, I should have been like 10-0 or 8-0. I forgot how many Raging Balls. But I went like 8. Yeah, I went X1 in games against Raging Ball at the next event, and it was mostly just because I didn't play well enough at Milwaukee, and all I had to do was really think. It's like, well, what could I have done better going into the next event? And I'm like, okay, well, I need to get better at this matchup.
I think that shows. I mean, I think that shows part of your like maturity and some of your success as a player. I mean, the amount of times anyone listening might hear it at their locals too. It says, "Oh, I got so unlucky. I missed rare candy. I couldn't do anything." I mean, and you're saying, "Oh yeah, no, that game I lost because I didn't hit rare candy." Well, I would have won if I hit it, but I actually could have approached the matchup entirely differently. So I practiced it and then executed on that. I think that speaks a lot to like your approach. I mean, are you often like reviewing your VODs or like just thinking back the games that you lose or like even your wins, or like what is that like review process to like continue improving at the level that you are?
Yeah, sometimes I do review the VOD, sometimes I don't. I can't just fall asleep too often half the time. but yeah, like I should be reviewing them more than I would. But a lot of the time I do review things, and I think it's like, well, if I'm not doing well in a tournament, you do have to consider. It's like, well, why aren't you doing well? And a lot of the time it's like, yeah, sometimes it's because you get unlucky, but sometimes it's like there's other things you can do. Like there's a lot of events this season where I'd say like I did poorly because I got unlucky, but it wasn't like my games weren't winnable. It's like I could have played better to increase my chance of winning these games. So I wouldn't really exactly say that it was like, it's coming from someone who has like 2,000 points and saying, yeah, I could have done like a lot better at like many events. And yeah, if I can do better with someone who has I have 5 regional cuts and an IC cut this year, and no, 6 regional cuts because I made ASIM and lost at Merida, and I still think there's a lot of room for improvement. So I'm sure if I can improve, I'm sure most people can improve.
I think it's super well said, and again speaks to just your maturity and comfort with this with this game that we play. So I think a little more than anything else, like you want to share on like your prep and like how you approach these events. I know you said like targeting specific matchups that you weren't as comfortable with, practicing against yourself over the table. And anything else in particular you think that like, sets your approach differently from most other players?
And I feel like I do have an approach that's actually kind of older now. It's just mostly just relying on yourself for most of the ideas. I do have a group though that we bounce ideas for. So for ICs, Worlds, usually it's with the group, but they don't really play as much as I do. So I don't always rely on them. But I'd say the most like for the most part, you just want to have your fundamental skills to be really good, and you want to have as much of an understanding of all the top matchups and just the deck knowledge. Like deck knowledge is really important a lot of the time at the high levels. And you really want to know how many counts to expect in each archetype you're playing against. If you don't know these counts, you're probably understudied for the tournament. And like I can tell you, like for most decks, like basically every deck that I pair against, I have pretty good estimates on how many counts they should be running on each card, and that's just something that you're going to need to know if you want to get to the top tables, or you want to consistently get to the top tables, I would say.
And a lot of that, are you just like studying Limitless once the entries come out, or like things like that, or?
Yeah, I spend more time scrolling deck lists online than I do probably playing the game.
Yeah, no, that technology is just so key, especially once you have like the strong fundamentals base, like you mentioned.
Yeah, well, I think like the main reason I do it more is not because I should be, like I think you should be playing the game more, but it's just like a lot easier because it's very easy to do on like your phone when you're like in public, or like eating or whatever. It's very, very easy to do when you're like doing when you're not like actively focusing on the game, which makes it like it's how like because if you're not focusing on the game and you still want to be spending time getting better at the game, then it's like, well, you should be looking at deck lists. It's like, what's doing well at the current tournament? What are the average counts looking like of decks? And yeah, things like that. So you should be studying what deck lists look like for every deck.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, great advice. I'll talk a little bit about Melbourne, give you a little chance to shine there. Again, had to go and defend the hometown regional. Not your hometown, but home country regional at least. And again, back-to-back Melbourne champion. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about how the tournament went. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of it on stream. I know we're waiting for some, more coverage to come to Australia, hopefully in future seasons. But any in particular, star highlight moments of the tournament that you kind of want to talk about? Any, unique games or unique matchups or unique things that happened on your run?
Yeah, so day one was there were close call after close call. There's just so many games, so I'm like, yes, I think I lost this game, and then I didn't lose. I know I hit a really good player, Gitano Pisani. I should have lost game one because I prized Cleffa and Badu. I'm not sure if I played it that well. I went straight into Stamp because I prized them. I didn't want to wait it out. Then I ripped the iron off the Stamp. I got that far, and then I had to get a mind bend flip to get in the game. And then he misplayed and didn't retreat first, I think, because he had the kill on. He had retreat, countercatcher, countercatcher rolls, dust not kill Curlier, attach Jet Headbutt, but instead he was going to retreat afterwards and use the other Dragapult because he forgot that he could do that. So and then he got the tails and missed the kill on the rolls, and then he ironed me into Candy Gardevoir, and the game fell apart immediately, and it's that was a game that I shouldn't have won. And then game two, I'm look, again, this game's pretty bad. I'll just take the tie because his deck was Pult Zard Noir with the monkey, so I'm yeah, I'm kind of scared of this. I mean, I think it's a close matchup, but I was just okay, if I'll play this game out, I'll either take the tie or if this game resolves, or if I somehow win, then I guess I win. We get to a certain point where it's okay, I need to bench the second Charmander to play around the Drifloon. And I'm okay, that's really good for me. I actually need the second Charmander. And I go catch a Badu on it. He gets to retreat again. And then he kills my Badu because I missed Candy Gardevoir another time. I'm okay, I really need it. I have 2 candies in box and deck. I get the Candy Gardevoir the next turn. I don't remember. I may have had the candy and not the Gardevoir yet, but I had the Fez. I had the supporters. I had Fez, and I'm just okay, I'll use Badu. Hopefully, get it next turn. He's already down a boss. He probably won't have the second one because I assumed he ran 2 because he's a Pult Zard. I get counter catch on the Charmander again. Candy Guardy Iono. Double Monkey killed the Dracloak. Screen Tail killed the other Dracloak. Fez is not on his board. Because I Budu'd again and he didn't have it. So I was using Budu to make sure he doesn't find Fez. No Fez, draw pass. And then I can't win because I don't have counter catcher. I can't win the game even though I'm at 2 prize cards. Yeah, I think I'm at 2 prize cards at this point. I can't win the game yet. I have to just put damage on the... So, no, the reason I have Fez is I killed the Fez as well on one of those times. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I think I killed the Fez with the... I think it may have been the kill because then I was at 2 prize cards now. So no, I think I punched it at some point with Clefairy. Maybe I'm not sure because I think I was at 4 prize. I got to 2 at some point now. Oh no, I think I killed the Dragapult with Clefairy. That's what I think I did. But I took 2 before I got Gardevoir, and then I got. So I had to go. Okay, I'll put 90 on the Charizard. Retreat into Gardevoir. By the way, I just okay. Well, I'll just put Gardevoir with the active. If you have energy, you have energy. You're on 2 prize. Oh no, 1 prize. 1 prize. So yeah. And then he passes again, and then I get to Monkey Dory enough damage on to kill the Charmander because I had 10 from the Igipon, 30 from another Monkey Dory, 30 now. Then I have another 2, and I had 90 damage on the Charizard, and now with 12 monkeys across 4 turns, I've got the game on the Charizard. He has no promote. He has to pick between the Dragapult and the Charizard. I definitely didn't have the lilies yet. Actually, I'm not actually sure I took the other 2 prize cards then. But I didn't have the lilies yet, so I'm not entirely sure. I have to discuss with him. But I was down to 2 at this point. But then, yeah, but I managed to claw the game back from 6. Oh wait, no, it was Oh wait, no, I was at 3 now. I think I was at 3 because he used Dusknoir. Oh no, I was at 4 because I killed Butter and Dusknoir. That's what it was. Okay. So it's kill Butter, kill Dusknoir, kill Dracloak, kill Charmander, and Charizard no longer survives. And then I won the game. So that was the big game that I won. And what then the next, I think that was around like 5, around 4, okay. Around 5. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I think I got like some close games where I took like a game 1 loss, like the next 3 rounds. And then I managed to get a win, then a tie. The next day, I got really lucky, down paired into walls. Then when I needed to tie, in the second last round, I won, which locked me first seed. Instead, I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, because as long as cut isn't 16 players, I'm straight to top 8. And then I lost game 1, a 40-minute game 1 in top 8. We were both just like really thinking, which is why it took a long time. But
matchup?
It was Raging Bolt, so I made a mistake here. So I discarded Tura earlier, and I had to use a single prize Pokemon to take the knockout on the Raging Bolt, the Baby Bolt with. So I could either use Mind Bend with the Clefairy and the Adrenobrain, or I could use Screamtail or Drifloon. I prized Screamtail though. And then I went and benched the Monkey. I unprized the Screamtail though, but I should have probably just attacked with the other Monkey with a Dark, because I had enough Darks anyway to get like another Monkey down, and I only really needed one. And what ended up happening is after they took out the he didn't take out the Monkey Tori, he was just waiting to hit the boss, and I couldn't win fast enough that he was able to draw so many cards that even though he basically had no draw engine left and only one stretcher out to win the game, he ended up getting there 1 turn before I had the win. And he had like 5 cards left at this point, but he drew a lot of cards already, to be fair, so he was favored to win this. So like him winning this game wasn't really like, oh wow, he had the 1 in 5 to draw. It's like, okay, well, he passed last time because he didn't draw it. He passed the turn before because he didn't draw it. He had a Fez, he had a Sada at some point, and I did disrupt him. Like it was quite some time that he had to draw all these cards. So just because he got on the very last turn, it wasn't necessarily because he was that lucky. So I can't really say, oh wow, he got really lucky there. It was more like, okay, I probably could have, because at this point I'd taken 3 prize cards from my 6. It could have been like, if I gave myself the opportunity to draw the Screamtail, I wouldn't have been in this position. I would have won faster, and I would have won the game. Yeah. So if I didn't bench the second Monkey, I would have won that game. And then I lost 40-minute game 1, and I'm like, oh, this is bad. But then unfortunately, I ripped the turn 2 Candy Guardy in game 2. When I was down 1 prize, won that game in like 18 minutes. I just slammed cards down. I was just like vomiting cards on the board. I'm like, okay, you're dead. Let's go next game. If you couldn't win that one in 17, if you couldn't defend that one in 18 minutes, you're gonna struggle in this next one. And then game 3, he looks at his hand. He benches 1 Bolt. He squawks away 2 Raging Bolt EX. So that's all 3 Raging Bolt in his opening hand and Prime Catcher going. Because he didn't have energy, he had nothing, so he had to get rid of the Prime Catcher and the Raging Bolts. Like he was looking at it, he was like, "This doesn't look very good." And I'm looking, I'm like, "Yeah, this doesn't look very good for you." And then I opened Butter as well. It's pretty bad for him. I think he misses, like he doesn't even get like Baby Bolt with the energy or something. Like it was bad. And then I get turn 1 Butter, turn 2 Candy Guardy, take the lead. And I think you figure out how it goes when I'm set up by turn 3 with Lily's Clefairy. Killed the Raging Bolt. There's a Squawkabilly on the board. Roaring Scream the next turn. I think I won turn 4. Yeah, it was bad.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, how the tides turn, right? Long 40-minute, and I think it's like you identified like, okay, hey, I could have won this game a lot earlier had I not made this like, small inaccuracy. He failed to win that. I had an opportunity to win, but then sometimes you find turn 2 Candy Guardy, and you failed out of a mistake, right?
Yeah, but also. Another thing was I was not really optimizing for playing accurately at the end. I was more for playing fast because I'm like I have 35 minutes and I know he's not going to be playing fast either. So I'm going to be just slamming cards down. I don't really care about my accuracy at that point.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right point. I mean, at that point, you have to win 2 games in 35 minutes, and says, okay, well, I have to, whether I win or lose, I gotta try to get to game 3 regardless.
Yeah,
make sure I play fast enough to get there.
Yeah, I'd rather play the game fast and lose than than like just lose because I didn't play fast enough.
Yeah, lose on like turns in game 3 or something like that.
Yeah, by the prize lead because they take 1 prize, and I'm like, oh well, I was gonna take 2 next time and win the game, but I guess I lost.
Right, exactly.
So like I knew that like giving him turns is just really bad for me, so I couldn't let that happen. So I had to play really fast to get as much time going into the end of the game.
Awesome. I know some of the other key top 40 played against Daichi again. For a lot of Japanese players came over to Melbourne. How was that set like? I mean, I guess playing against other Japanese opponents. I mean, I know that it's kind of cool to see them compete in some of the other Western events. It's not really get to see them play too much, but again, you had to defend Australia from the outsiders. So
yeah, so like the big one is so Champions League, they mostly play just for that chance of the top 4 invite. That's the main one, plus the invite to nationals. Well, our events, it's the chance for prize money, but first is the invite. So it's not that different from a Champions League for a lot of these Japanese players. So for a lot of them, they're just all heading here now. So like now we have to fight against them because now with the prize money and the auto invite, there's enough incentives that most of the top Japanese are just sending as many Australian regionals as they can now. So our events are getting a lot harder, even though the numbers aren't that big. It's like, okay, well, we just had 30 Japanese players show up, and I can tell you they're pretty good on average when they show up to our events. So,
especially being able to play the best of 3 format.
Yeah, best of 3 as well. I can tell you they are hungry for these tournaments here. Like they're trying to win. But yeah, I was a little bit scared because, like, I mean, I know the matchup. I'm like, okay, well, it's pretty close.
Playing Terra Box for everyone else listening. So
yeah, and then Natalie just lost to him in top 8. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is a little scary. But I mean, I kind of just did what I knew in the prep, where you set up the early game. Like generally, what would happen is I would get attacked early, and then I would have like Candy Guardian hand. I would kind of just be patient. I would go like Clefairy Energy, try to pressure with the Ogerpon or like Mind Band or something. The butter was really annoying because it would stop Candy Guardi by just going back into butter after using the Ogerpon attack.
The Daichi Badu?
Yeah, the Badu in Terra Box. But I managed to stabilize at down 6-2 in game 1, I think. It's like I got the Gardevoir EX out. And then I got like an attack with it on the Ogerpon, didn't take the KO, denied the Fez and everything. And then I cleaned up a lot of the board, I think, on the following turn, and he didn't have a pathway to take the 2 prize cards. I think something like that happened. Not entirely sure. I know I did get the Gardevoir, and then I did stabilize and win. And then game 2, I definitely played the late game sloppy. I managed to get, like, I used the Clefairy to attack instead, took 2 prize cards, gave him the easy 2 back, but then in exchange, I got the Gardevoir out, which is, playing down 4-2, but with Gardevoir out, that's pretty good in that matchup. But I got to the point where he was sub-locking my Fez, like, honestly, like, I was just, like, I did not realize I had an extra stretcher left. I thought I was down 3 for some reason. So I knew I prized an energy, so I'm like, I don't think I can do this. But then I drew the second stretch, I'm like, wait a second. So I'm like, okay, attach the Fez. Because he was sub-blocking me. And like, I was scared that he could go, like, Stretcher Lily's Clefairy, but I think he just didn't have the resources for it. He may have prized the second Stretcher. I haven't seen if he ran 2 Stretchers or, like, Stretcher Rod. But, like, he may have prized the other recovery card.
Let's see. And he played Stretcher Rod.
Okay, yeah, so I think he may have prized the Rod. Or, like, he didn't draw it yet because he had no Noctowls left or anything. I was forcing a lot of Noctowls out of him, which was, like, something I was trying to do. I'm like, yeah, if you're getting these kill on my 2 rolls here, you're using your Noctowl. Like, I don't think you're getting away with that. So then I managed to just slowly attach the Fez, and I was getting the monkey damage from the subs on his board. I think the big one was I killed the Hoot Hoot by using my last Psychic Engine discard. Everything on the bench could retreat, though. Killed, excluding the sob, that was the only thing he was doing anyway. But he was sobbing on my Fez, and he was down 2 boss anyway, so I don't think that mattered. Killed the Hoot Hoot with that, so he couldn't actually get all the pieces. And then I slowly got the energies on the Fez, got enough damage, killed a Noctowl that I hit with a Mind Bend earlier because I killed the Badu with the Monkey Dory and you promoted the Noctowl. Then I got the Mind Bend on that. And then I got the kill on the Noctowl, cruel arrow for game on the other knockdown. I think I killed 2 hoo-hoots and 2 knockdowns in that game. Like, the whole family just died, so...
Full hunting season.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of sad, though, because now I know that he has to top 32 Japan Nationals to get that Worlds invite. And, like, he really wanted this one, and yeah, it's, like, sad knowing that, you know, I already have 2 auto invites.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's prize money, there's glory on the line, so it's like, I'm not just gonna... give wins away when there's prize money and everything. So like I feel bad, but you know I have to do what I have to do. It's a tournament at the end of the day.
Exactly right. I mean, yeah, this is your 3rd auto invite that you've won.
Yeah.
After 2nd at LAIC and 2 regional wins. But
yeah,
no one's in finals saying like, "Hey Brent, I know you're going to invite. You want to scoop to me?" Like we know it's a tournament. Like
yeah.
You know,
there's $3,000 on the line. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you gotta. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of sad, and then the finals didn't feel bad. Like I got quite lucky in game. Like the funny thing was, I prized Screamtail in game 1, and I last prized Screamtail when we paired in game 2 in Swiss as well.
Oh really?
And like the game 2 was so close. Like I destroyed him in the opening. His opening was terrible. Mine was insane, and it was close because he was just there surviving on 1 prize card, trying to bounce between things, and I'm like. Yeah, this would be easy if I just went Artisan for Screamtail for game. And I have 1 prize card left, and he knows exactly what prize card it is. Unless he thinks that I somehow just didn't see that there was a Screamtail win for like 3 turns. He's like, okay, it's probably safe to assume that I lost prize card is Screamtail. But then, so I got the tie in Swiss because of I got a really good opening, and I managed to just convert with just 2 Gardevoir EX. And then in Top Cut, I prized again, but it was the inverse. Well, I mean, I used the 2 Gardevoir EX, but it wasn't the inverse. Like, it was... Yeah, he was going into a Gardevoir game because he lost 2 stretches and 2 darks from research under item lock early. And then he couldn't find... he stretched it for the 3rd dark, I think, and he couldn't find another dark because he prized it. So he was stuck there, and I was using Gardevoirs, and he was bench locked at that point, and I was just pivoting between 2 Gardevoirs. The main reason I think he bench locked himself was because he was going to get the 2nd dark to go for the 2 monkeys instead of Screamtail anyway, because he didn't want to give me the extra prize. So like he pre-benched the 2nd monkey anyway, being like, okay, even if I draw the 4th stretcher to draw the Screamtail, I'm better off using the dark anyway. So that's why he bench locked himself. So he was bench locked there out of Screamtail. Not that it really mattered, because if he had the stretcher, he would have found the dark. So he just didn't have the stretcher yet. Right. And I managed to tank him out of the game with just the 2 Gardevoirs. And then game 2, he prized double EX. So yeah, he went like straight, turn 1, straight for the Clefairy attached. I'm like, okay, it's like it's like he either like prized 2 candies or something that's gonna make it really difficult for him to get the EX, or he prized the 2 EX. And then he goes for the attack, and then I Iono. And then I rip, like, I had, like, 1 into the discard iron, I ripped, like, Vessel, Secret Box, Candy Guardy, Driftwood, and Charm, I'm like, okay, you're dead. And, like, because of the Secret Box was the Driftwood, the Charm, and everything, so I really just did, I just had I think it was just the Vessel, the Box, and the Guardy, that's all I needed. I think it was Vessel, Box, Candy, and I had to get the Ultra Ball for the Guardy. Yeah. But I had all the pieces I need to just, like, dump my hand, get the KO on the Clefairy. And then, I killed Clefairy Clef. I was up 2 prize cards. I had Gardevoir. I think I had a Curly out as well. Fez on the bench. I was in a pretty good position, even if he unprized the Guardy. And then he skipped.
Wow.
Because, he was pretty much dead at that point. I think I had a 6 prize map by the time he could get an attack going anyway. Because, like, there was nothing he could do. He could go, okay, bench Clefairy attached to it. I could take a knockout. He could kill my Drifloon, and then I have Guardy for the win. So that's 6 prize cards. So he just gave me the win. At that point, he's like, yeah, I can't win. So I'm like, okay, well, I got a free win there, but...
There you go. The double I was up again already, in finals. So. Yeah, again, you're up again. You're in a pretty good spot anyways, but...
Yeah.
But, you know, you love to see that game finished over the table. Just, I guess that's the one downside of Guardy these days, which is like, prize double EX, you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah, there were a couple of storylines that did finish with that one. So one was Australia managed to defend our region once this season. Just once. We did get that. And then, of course, I retained my title in Melbourne, keeping my record of always retaining. And then also the guy, I believe, Jeremy Leong, I believe he has never won a tournament. So he has not won a league challenge or anything. And so he's not won a league challenge, but he's got second at a regionals now. and he still hasn't won a tournament. This is close to, I think, his first tournament win, and he now has still not won a tournament. So he's gonna have to get back to those like Great Ball leagues and try to win one of those, because I mean, he can't win those clearly. He can't win Master Ball League. He can't win. Actually, the Master Ball League hasn't happened yet, so he could win that.
Okay, but one more chance.
Okay, but I think he missed out on the Great Ball, missed out on the Ultra Ball, second at the regionals. Didn't really matter for him for the invite because he's pretty good in the rankings. So he's been getting consistent finishes clearly. So he must have the ability to win a tournament if he's somewhere deep in the top 8 of the rankings in Singapore. But he has not won yet, which is still kind of funny. So he seems to be someone who's getting consistent placements, but just hasn't gotten that big win yet, or even the small win. But hopefully he gets one of those at some point. But but at least he should be at Worlds. So I think in a season I'd rather make it to Worlds than win a tournament. Of course, like I'd rather over like having even both, a League Cup win. Yeah, you'd rather do both. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd rather make it to Worlds.
So, most people would trade every League Cup win for an invite.
Yeah,
I think.
I think that's a general consensus.
I agree.
And if people don't know, like a League Cup's roughly equivalent to a Great Ball League.
Good to know. Awesome. All right, well, appreciate the Melbourne breakdown. Before we wrap up, do you want to get a few Guardy thoughts heading into Portland? We know that you're considering going, are probably not going to be there, but hey, anyone, if you sit down round 1 against Brent, sorry about that. But again, going into Guardy, again, the big question. Going into Portland, would you make any changes to your list?
I don't think I would. I think there's definitely like there's a little bit of flex space. But there's not that much flex space. It's like you can kind of fiddle with the ball counts. And then the tour is not it's technically not core, and I feel like outside of that, don't really have any wiggle room. Like there's not much you can change to the deck. Like at most
around the ball cards.
The ball counts. Like you can go as low as like 4 Ultra 2 Nest, 1 Poffin, or like 4 Ultra 3 Nest. Like that's like the lowest you can go. And then like if that's how you want to fit like Mew in, you could do that. And then Turo it's not necessary. Like it can help sometimes, but you don't actually need it. And outside of that, I don't think there's much you can change with that engine. Like you can change engines as well. Like you could try like an Evo build, but I don't really think you can change that much in this engine. No. So I'd say even if I did change anything, it wouldn't be much to change. I think Gardevoir's still well positioned. It only really loses to Enzorok. So unless everyone's playing that, but the problem is like that deck's got a really bad Joltik box matchup. I think it's not the easiest into Raging Ball either. Like you still got a lot of scary matchups to play against with that deck. So I don't think that many people are willing to actually bring that deck to a tournament. Like just losing to Joltik box is really a deal breaker when Joltik box is not the most difficult deck. So even the players who haven't practiced are probably a lot of them probably on Joltik box, and it does not feel good if you lose to someone who just showed up to the tournament. I can tell you that much.
No, fair enough. Again, it sounds like not a lot of changes on your side. A couple other options for anyone else who's trying to make a tweak. And into NEIC, I'm not sure how much you've looked at the Destined Rivals format. Again, you do get the new Team Rocket's Mimikyu, a nice little tool for against like it's your Mew EX if you want that. But have you spent any time thinking about the format and like how Guardy looks for NAIC?
Well, I think there's like 2 cards in the format. It's like Shaman and Grimstar.
Shaman, yeah.
Well, I guess you get like, all the 3 pieces of Grimstar plus the Spike Myth.
Right,
but,
yeah.
But like we've got like 5 cards, and 4 of them are already out apparently. So, so it's really just Shaman. I don't really think there's much else that's really that strong. I did predict that the Rockets deck wasn't that good. I don't think Mimikyu is that good in Gardevoir. It has Furry Retreat, which is actually kind of bad for Gardevoir in a lot of ways.
Yep.
I don't really want to commit energies to things that have Furry Retreat unless it's like with Mew, it's going to be like winning the game, right? If I'm committing energy to it. So I don't necessarily think that card should be in Gardevoir. Shaman is a card that's going to be a debate. Like Manaphy was getting cut a lot towards the end of last set. And that's even with like a lot of Greninja decks. So Shaman isn't necessarily going to instantly be in every deck. Shaman definitely does hurt Guardy in a lot of ways, I think. Like at the moment we've definitely been abusing a lack of bench barrier. Screamtail's been doing a lot of heavy lifting, let's just say. Right. So it's like it's going to be hard to basically have to play games where you can't get easy snipes on the bench. So playing from behind and forcing a 1 prize and just going even in prizes with the Screamtail has been really good. and not having consistent access to that might be a problem. Not sure what that actually means for Guardi. Yeah, I haven't started my testing. That's happening sometime this week. I did basically say, well, especially since I'm not doing Portland, I don't have to do testing in advance because I've got a couple weeks to learn everything after Melbourne. So I'd rather be like, okay, let's focus on this format, get this format sorted, and then I'll work on NAIC after that. So I didn't really have to work on it. But I did, like, I've already looked at cards, I've already looked at lists from Japan and everything. Like, I did kind of expect, like, I was telling a lot of people, like, publicly that I didn't think the Rockets engine was going to work. I didn't really see how Mewtwo would be that strong. So I don't think it's a very good deck. Porygon has the best chance of any Rockets deck, and it's not that good. I can tell you that much. Look, if Porygon had trade instead of discard 2, draw 1, then we may have been cooking, but no, it's not it.
Almost there. So sounds like Guardy's still pretty good position for next format. Not quite sure again the changes you'd be making, but I have a feeling we're probably going to see something pretty similar to your 60 core if I had to guess. So awesome. Hey Brent, thanks again so much for your time. I know everyone enjoyed being able to hear all your insight, hear about your success, hear about all your travel, and just your incredible success this year. I know lots of people are excited to keep cheering you on into NAIC and into Worlds. So. Any shout outs or sponsor drops that you want to do before we let you go?
Yeah, so I guess I'll shout out the Shuffle Squad. I just joined recently. Got a win like immediately after, which is kind of funny. And then yeah, I have a Metafy. I do coaching on Metafy, and that's the main one. Yeah, I mean you could probably just search my name up on Metafy. That's the easiest. You can also do like metafy.gg /@Brent dash Tonisson. But searching me up is probably going to be the easiest to find, so you can check that out if you want.
And Brent does have a fantastic. How many words was that Gardevoir guide? It's like
it was
like over 10,000 or something.
Okay, it was 10,800 before the Flareon and Zoroark update came in, so now it's like 13,000.
There you go. So,
but like there is a consistent structure with the matchups. Like I would say for most people, you don't need to read the first like quarter maybe, so it's more like 10,000 for most people. Because that's mostly just talking about like card choices, but like the real meat of it is really every part after that is kind of what people want to read, because that's where the real insight comes in.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a guide on how to play the best deck right now from the best player with the deck, Brent has that Gardevoir guide, so definitely want to plug that as well. So Brent, thanks so much for coming on the Beach Court Podcast. Everyone else will be kicking it back to the rest of the episode. All right, and we're back at the Beach Court Podcast. Thanks again to Brent Tonisson for joining. Hope you really enjoyed everything we had to talk about. So next up, we're jumping right into Crispin's Corner. And if you aren't familiar with Crispin's Corner, how this segment works is we use a random number generator to pick a list that did not make day 2 from the major tournaments this past weekend. We pick 2 of them, and we pit them up against each other to see what will win. So what's fun about this is we get to see some really wacky off-the-wall lists. We might see some familiar ones and some off the wall, but really just get to highlight who is cooking in day 1 that maybe didn't get a chance for the list to shine on Limitless. So we'll jump right into that. And first, I think we're just going to tackle Melbourne. So we'll jump right over here. Yeah, the land down under. So we'll go and tackle our lists here. There's about 98 people in day 1. In day, so 98 to 563. So again, how this works is utilizing Limitless Labs. We'll be able to pair up again 2 people and their placements and see how the match would have ended up. So this first one we have is number 391. So we're even with Christopher Pam with Zoroark versus 103. Oh, just on the outside looking in with Corey and Gardevoir. We know how this matchup sometimes tends to go. We have Christopher Pham Zoroark versus Corey Monroe's Gardevoir. And I think this just is the Brixty from Gardevoir. Again, you're in the land of Brent Tonisson. We just had him on the interview. You can't go wrong with the Brent 60 versus Zoroark. So, Parker, what do you think about this matchup?
This actually, I think I might have to give it to Zoroark, honestly. Like, It just hits Gardevoir for weakness. It has got a sniping attack, and yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, really, really good deck. I think there are a couple standouts we didn't mention in Christopher Pamphilus. Is playing the Ends
the
Sigilith.
Sigilith.
If with the victory symbol attack, if you use this attack when you have exactly one prize remaining, you win the game. So fun inclusion there. Also included almost the whole Loyal 3 package. We have Pecharunt EX, Pheasantipity EX, and Ogie Dogie EX. I think that's a cornerstone out, as a lot of people have been playing the Ogie Dogie. Its first attack lets you search the psychics attached to it, and you can punch through with
the darks.
Yeah, what's its attack? Chain craze.
That's like 260.
Yeah,
it's poisoned.
Christopher Pam's also playing the Unfair Stamp in Enzorg as the Ace spec. A bit of a standout inclusion there. I think a really interesting list here. Some cool answers. We did just have Brent on, and one thing he did say is, the Enzorg is good just because it, beats Guardy, and Guardy has a tough time into it. I think if this was maybe Brent Tonisson playing the Gardevoir list on the right, then I'd maybe have to give him a little bit of an edge. But I think for right now, a Gardevoir opponent is not very much looking forward to seeing Enzorg, so we'll give the edge to Chris and the teched out Enzorg list. Some really cool inclusions here. Hourglass, keep chaining it. Unfair Stamp, again, just a cool list to see. So let's go and jump into our next one in actually, where are we going now? We're going to Santiago.
Yeah.
So we have 200 to 1249. So we have 517. Turn the filter off. 517, just outside of 512, but don't worry, you're getting featured here on the Beach Court podcast. We have Aaron Cuevas with Terra Box versus
778.
778, going all the way down to Gonzalo with Feraligatr. That's what we're here to see. This is why we have Crispin's Corner, getting some of these lists some love. So we have Aaron with Terra Box. I think the list, fairly standard these days. We do see both the Terapagos and the Cornerstone, plus a double Teal Mask. Leaning a little towards like the older school Terra Box. With a little heavier investment in the Teal Mask Ogerpon. But still with, all the Lotus Clefairy and other packages, and a pretty thin supporter line, just the 3 Crispin, 2 Boss, 1 Research, 1 Iona, 1 Turo. But, all the other tools here with the Sparkling Crystal versus Feraligatr. None other than, the first deck we knew about in this format that really hasn't done too much else since. But is it enough to take down Terra Box? So, again, a 3/3/3 Feraligatr line going along with Precious Trolley as the ace spec, and it's 3 Monkey Dories, double Mimikyu, and the Badoo. Slow things down a little bit. And again, pretty standard Feraligatr stuff. We do see the Crispin as a little bit of a tech inclusion. Make it a little easier to attack with the giant wave from Feraligatr if you need to, or just power up the Monkey Dories. All right, Parker, there's a lot going on here. What do you think?
I do like Crispin and Feraligatr. I think the way it was originally built, it had a couple Crispins in it. The original Japanese list. I might be wrong, but I think I probably have to give it to Terra Box. I don't know. I just think most games you'll never evolve your guys fast enough, and sure you can put Mimikyu out, but then you can just fan Rotom or Mew EX even to knock it out,
or Cornerstone even,
or even Cornerstone. Yeah, so it's I think I gotta give the edge to Terra Box.
Yeah, I think the tricky part with this matchup is, one, Feraligatr is walled by Cornerstone pretty clearly. And Terra Box does include the Turo, so you'd have the one way to switch something out of the active. Right, everything can attack. I think the tricky part is just going to be pulling off the Big Bite lock. I think in theory, you could probably stop the Terra Box twice with a Big Bite and just pull up a Noctowl or something like that. But if Terra Box, I think maybe you can use it to win a game 1, but if you're in a game 2 against, Terra Box, your board could literally just be Cornerstone, Noctowl, and whatever you start with, and you'll be fine probably. So I think Terra Box maybe just has a few too many tools, but I think if Terra Box gets caught sleeping and Totodile keeps Big Biting, there could be a chance.
So.
All right, we'll move on to our next one for Utrecht Special Championship there. And pretty similar numbers in both tournaments. Both a little over 1,200 players. So in Utrecht, we have 282. Utrecht,
close
pull
to
up our filters. Yeah, pretty close. 282. We have loose with Cerulege. Here we go.
I think you hit 282.
I had the wrong one.
Yeah, I think 282 is Ludovic.
Oh, I hit the wrong. Oh, Goldango. Hey, Goldango Dragapult. All right, I like Goldango Dragapult versus 480. Again, we got some that are still in that hunt. Maybe just fell a little bit short. We have 480, which is Julia Maria with Duraludon. All right.
The Dunsparce.
Archaludon, the Dunsparce. So, and actually, wait, this is kind of a wild list. We see the full Dunsparce package, but included the what is this metal bridge Archaludon lets you all of your metal Pokemon or Pokemon with metal energy attached retreat for free. This is just a one. This is a one
Dunsparce.
This is a 1 to Dunsparce, 1 to Dunsparce EX, and 1 to Dunsparce with one-away draw. So a one bracket one. A split to Dunsparce.
1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Plus a Squawk and Fez. So interesting list. The one Brock Scouting, a Carmine, give you a little bit of explosive potential. You find it the double Palpad, letting you really recycle those Turos and Black Belts. So
Serrano.
Yeah, the Serrano lets you search your EXs. Pretty interesting list. And a spec of choice is Scoop Up Cyclone. Versus on the right from Ludovic, we have Goldango Dragapult. This looks pretty close to the Grant Shen, Caleb Rogerson list, but a couple changes. We do see the Vengeful Punch back in the list as the another tool. We see a Crispin included, make it a little bit easier to attack with Dragapult, and the energy switch because of that. A full 3 metals, 2 psychic, 2 fires. And also a big inclusion, we see the Pokemon League headquarters to go along with Jamming Tower as the stadium disruptor. So, and Parker, this has been a matchup that's been going around a little bit for a while now. Again, Archaludon has a hard time in that 220, but does play the 2 black belts. And Goldango can just blow up and hit 300 pretty easily. But is it enough? What do you think, Parker?
This one is a little tricky. Like the Dunsparce could potentially one-shot a guy if they have like all 4 of their Dangos out and Fez or something like that. I kind of doubt that would happen, but it's a possibility. The 2 black belts and then like 2 Palpads, find it in a pretty decent amount of time. And then like he also, if they play Fez down, that's a free Gus. Like Goldango does definitely have a favorable matchup in Archaludon, but it could be kind of close. 2 black belts, like if they can find them on the opportune times, like hey.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the black belts, are really the big swing factor here. Yeah, but I do agree on paper. Like Goldango Dragapult does have the favorable matchup here if they're able to just present their board as a single prize board, wait until the Archaludon's getting to play, try to limit putting their Fez down and just be able to really go and knock out these Archaludons turn after turn. It's really just about initiating the one prize trade. I do think that Archaludon, if they can get some pressure with some hammer-ins, and gets a little bit tricky if you're getting forced to take that one prize. But overall, like we said, I do think Goldango with a little bit of the edge. I do think the Archaludon, in theory, if you could power up a benched Archaludon and take the first prize with that could be pretty good. Hit for 160 with Iron Blaster. Because then you're forcing Goldango to find Counter Catcher plus Energy Search Pro. So could get a little dicey there, but overall, I do think, again, as a Goldango believer, have to give a little bit of an edge to Ludovic here over the Archaludon. The Duns. Can I even call it Archaludon Dunsparce? It only plays one the Dunsparce. It only plays 1 Dunsparce and 2 to Dunsparce. So
yeah.
All right, and then next up we do we're going to go into our tier list for Portland. Before we do that, I need to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors. First, got a shout out Nakama Anime Cafe for always supporting us here at the Beach Court Podcast. And actually, Nakama has a card show coming up. They had one, not too long ago, I guess earlier this year. And they're back with another one on June 28th on Saturday, again in Orange Park, Florida. The last one I went to was a lot of fun. I mean, we were just outside and able to, see a bunch of cards. And actually, this is the grand opening of Nakama Gaming at the same time, where we've actually had a soft opening. We've been playing league nights there and our pre-releases and stuff like that. So pretty cool venue and great to, see the card show coming back. Again, I like going and picking up some of my staples and just getting some cards, especially, with this one coming right after NAIC. I'm looking forward to pick up, maybe I need to pick up my Mewtwo pieces after Team Rocket's deck does a little bit of a good show at NAIC. So we're looking forward to at a Nakama card show.
Yeah, definitely same. I had a blast last time too. I had to be the protector of the booster box twice, and I clutched up for the Nakama team, but it was pretty scary.
Exactly, you can challenge the Elite Four there as well. And all the cool cards you pick up, you can make sure you keep them sleeping protected in some FCBCs. I was rocking these for my cup this past weekend. Actually, I ran the same Periwinkles as I did. Literally, it was the exact same deck Periwinkles and everything that I used in Milwaukee. And even though I used it all throughout Milwaukee and I played it local several times since, all the sleeves are still held up fine. Passed deck check, no problem. So I was enjoying it there. And Parker, I think you even were keeping your Mewtwo.
Yep.
You got the Mewtwo. Wait, put it in front of your face. In your face. There you go.
There we go.
That's a
Rocking
nice
that
card.
Periwinkle.
FCBC. Hey, there we go. So shout out to FCBC for taking care of us and making sure our cards are always protected. So all right, but now we got to dive into it. Our tier list time. We need to give Raging Bolt some redemption. We're going to jump right into it. Again, I want to give Trainer Hill a big shout out for having a nice and easily available tier list tool to use, easily customizable and easy for us to set up. So, all right, let's start with redeeming Raging Bolt, Parker. We had it way too low last time. We know it's a good deck. It won Milwaukee. It's had, had great play rates this past weekend. Where does Raging Bolt sit today for Portland?
It's a D tier. Don't play
whoa,
it. I'm just kidding.
Whoa,
It's a prank. It's a prank. It's a prank. Let's see. I think it could go in A tier. Honestly, it's the way the meta's develop. The meta's developing. It's getting some pace back into it, but the meta was really slow. Where it's like you skip Badoo and Badoo and Badoo and Badoo back and forth, but you can't do that against Rage because they're just gonna snipe the guy you're setting up. And then on top of that, it's just a solid 2 prize, go knock out your guy every turn deck.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think that's better now than it was at the beginning of the format.
I agree. I think this past weekend too, right? Raging Bolt, had a good showing behind the radar, behind the scenes. Did make finals in Utrecht, made finals in Santiago. But I think since it didn't win another major this weekend, people might still not respect it. So if I was going to Portland, Raging Bolt would be my play, 100%. Let's move another couple quick ones here. Gardevoir, Dragapult. I think are pretty comfortable still saying that they're the S tier decks, top of the format.
Yeah. Right there, boom. Dustin will go up there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can probably argue with the finishes and just the power of these decks overall. So let's go with a couple of the latest standouts. Right, Roaring Moon was on our rogue decks list last week. But again, Roaring Moon here, just missed out on top cut at a regional. Roaring Moon, where is this deck in the meta right now?
Yeah, I know. It's been knocking on the door. And the US kind of favors the faster decks, but to me, I think it's kind of like a C tier ish play. I don't know if you'd agree with me on that, but I was just I just think about it. And I'm just like, man, the Dragapult matchups got to be so tough. I don't know.
Yeah, you just run into a tough time into a lot of the decks, and I think especially having to damage yourself so much is just so difficult to deal with. Roaring Moon does have some other tricks, and the poison package, you're able to steal some games there, but it feels like a lot of the games you're getting against a Dragapult are just from those donks, and once they have a chance to set up a Dragapult, if you go use a Moon to KO one, again, you're really capitalizing on the slow of the format. Badoo is dealing extra damage. I think it's knocking on the door. I wouldn't be surprised to see it with a good run, but I think it still needs a little bit more. And Zoroark was another deck. We saw another top 8 with it. And again, the real benefit here is a pretty good time to Dragapult and Gardevoir. Does that make this deck pushing the conversation, into B or even up to A?
I don't know if I could put an A. Like, I think if your deck like runs smoothly through the entire event, it'd be an A tier. But like, it just doesn't. Like, I it's just tough. Like, even the new lists, like, there's still just consistency issues for some reason, and maybe it's just because Darumaka has 80 HP for some reason. But uh, I don't know. I think for me personally, it's like a B.
Yeah, I kind of have to put it there too. I think especially going into Portland, going to another North American regional, when you expect some of those popular decks to be Raging Bolt and Joltik Box, and Zoroark has a terrible matchup into those decks, and the problem with Zoroark is it's difficult to play and to be able to beat the best decks, right? You don't just auto win against Gardevoir or Dragapult, right? Like you're favored, but it is a tough time. So I think few people are going to play it because it is a trickier deck to play and because it has such a hard time into what are expected to be some very popular decks. Let's tackle the rest of our, Dragapult hybrids. We have Dragapult Charizard. Again, not quite jump to the S tier conversation like a slow Dragapult or Dragapult Dusknoir. Still a pretty good deck. I mean, where do you think this one falls? I mean, definitely gain a little bit into a Gardevoir matchup.
I think it could go in either A or B. I wouldn't be upset with either. The Dragapult like is just an insane card, and like Charizard is like helps the Guardy matchup a little bit, and is also that's an insane attacker because you have two of the best attackers in the game basically in the same deck. Like,
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'll,
100%.
I'll let you decide.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with A for now. Dragapult Charizard, again, just being in a good position because as the format gets a little bit faster, you see a lot of the big basic decks, and Charizard is good into those big basic decks. And also Dragapult Charizard as a deck, when you're building it, you're including more of those candies. You're prepared for speed a little bit more. So I think that puts you in a better spot to counter some of this fast gameplay that's going on. But Charizard Pidgeot, again, we've seen a little bit more success with it, but still not quite the level that it used to be. I mean, is this deck in a similar spot to like a Roaring Moon or even worse off?
I'd say it's about where Moon is. Like hot take, it could actually like come out this weekend if it hits the right matchups. Like if it hits some more turbo-y decks, it has a good time into those. But um yeah, for now, C I think is where it belongs.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, we got to talk about Dango. Again, we saw some Dango on Crispin's Corner. Been a Dango enjoyer for a while. Both Goldango, Dragapult, and Goldango on its own. I feel like Goldango is still a good deck that is maybe a little bit that isn't quite respected as much as it should be, but at the end of the day, as much as I want it to be the best, we're just not seeing that much results with it. Is there something holding this deck back, you think?
Um, I don't know. Like the Dragapult matchup's tough, and like people keep telling me it's got a good Guardy matchup. I just like don't believe them. I don't know. This is my personal testing. Like playing as Goldango is like terrifying because they could just hit the Drift Bloom every turn. Or they can double Monkey Scream Tail it every turn. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Goldango's definitely tricky. As Brent said on the interview, when he spent a little bit of time with it to practice it, he felt more comfortable with it. And honestly, that's just probably the big difference maker here, where it's like people are getting a little bit more comfortable of how to deal with Goldango. I think you still
Yeah,
do have a good Dragapult matchup, but it is losable still.
yeah,
Badoo's a problem. Decks are still playing Genesect, which is a problem. Joltik Box is kind of an awkward matchup. Um, I think this is one that could see a little better showing, but I think for now it's maybe easy even down to B tier for Goldango
yeah.
Dragapult.
I,
Um,
I I think that's where I put it.
and regular Goldango, I mean, maybe has a conversation to be at the same level, but I think just that it's not seeing the same type of play as a Goldango Dragapult. Like players aren't choosing it. I think just speaks to there's maybe a little less options in a straight Goldango list.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. If I'd maybe put both of them B. If there's like a B.5, I'd put regular Goldango there, or B point B or something. But
That's fair. That's
I mean,
fair.
I don't know. Like, I think like the simplicity of it is part of the reason why it's like a decent deck for regionals. Was like there is sequencing, like depending on what version you play. There's can be a lot of sequencing, but like your main goal every turn is to just get the energies, announce the attack, and discard them.
Yep. For sure. All right, we have just a few decks left. Joltik Box, Terror Box, Flare and Noctowl. Before that, we got to talk about Frostlass Monkey Dory. We left this off tier list a little bit. We had some comments asking us why we did, why we're not respecting it. But we apologize. We're back. Frostlass Monkey Dory is on the tier list. The question is, where does it fall? Parker, what do you think?
I don't know. It's tough. It is tough to measure like how good this deck is because like it. I feel like some games you just like can get a bunch of frost ass up and just win by devoing someone's entire board, and like that's that. But like I don't know. I'd maybe put it like your C.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that B to C range for me too. Again, you gain a lot of power, just by being able to do so much spread and damage in that continuous item lock. I think as the format gets a little faster, if Badoo is respected less, then being able to Badoo every turn with Frostlass Monkey Door is just very good as you're spreading so much damage. With big basics, getting a little bit of a stronger showing. We even got like Iron Hands and Joltik Box coming back. I think it's maybe just not quite as good positioned as it could be. I could see this being a deck where, if someone, a skilled pilot, is picking up and hitting the right matchups, then you can just item lock some people out of the game and, go from there.
I agree.
All right, Flareon Noctowl. This is a little bit of a hotter pick for us. Previous time we did a tier list, or at least last, or at least I thought it was a hotter pick. We did see Owen with a big run with it in Santiago. I think this is a deck that is, nicely positioned with, if we're expecting a lot of Raging Bolts, and being able to utilize Briar. I do think like Joltik Box is a little bit tricky. Gardevoir is pretty tricky. And Parker, what do you think about Flareon?
Yeah, it's a tricky deck. Like I said the last time I talked about it, like we tested it a lot. It's like we thought it was the play, but I think I think that it could go like A or B. Um, it it's definitely got the tools to like win a regional, I think. But I think the biggest thing is like a lot of games you don't draw too hot. Like I don't know, like it's I don't know.
That's right. I think it's in that A to B conversation. As I look at this now, I said, am I really thinking Dragapult Charizard is the same level as like a Flareon Noctowl or Raging Bolt? I'm thinking maybe not.
A point A.
So I think I don't know. We can look back at that later. So, but real quick, we'll hit our last couple decks, our two box decks. We have Terra Box and Joltik Box. Parker, if you're going to Portland, which one of these do you think is the better play to make top 8?
To make top 8, Terror Box, Terror Box.
Terra Box. I think Joltik Box. I think again the deck is simple, but the deck is still seeing success. And you have a hard time into Raging Bolts. I think is probably like the trickiest matchup that's present here. But decent into Gardevoir and Dragapult, right, which is really what you need. Event Zoroark is getting some attention. You have an okay time in a Goldango. It's a pretty simple deck, but I think it still needs to be respected.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but okay, if you think Terror Box is the play for top 8, then where would you place Terror Box here? Is the meta counterable enough that we can, that it is time for Terror Box as a counter deck to make a rise back, or is it still in a little bit of a tricky spot?
I mean, it is in a tricky spot because it just like it does kind of crumble to Badoo. Whereas Joltik Box, they go, ha, Badoo, can't be very much. So like I don't know. While the format is centralized around Badoo, like Terror Box is a risky play. But I think it's like a good risky play if that makes sense. Like I don't know. I could see I could see both of these being like A tier.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. I think Joltik Box definitely deserves place in A tier just for how strong it is. And again, we've seen consistent performance with it. And it is going to see a high play rate in Portland. I do think the question will just be, anyone who's going will be able to pick up some free wins just with the power of the deck. But I think the players who are most successful with it, will be having to play it pretty well in order to get that deep run. So, Parker, any adjustments you want to make here? I think we need to move Dragapult Charizard.
Yeah. That's up. Yeah. Whatever you say. Yeah.
I think it's one of those fringe decks. I think Dragapult Charizard is maybe a good sleeper pick. I don't know if it's proven enough to make it into A tier, but when I look at the rest of these decks in the top 7, or S tier being Gardevoir, Dragapult, and Dragapult Dusknoir, I think that's pretty solid there. Rounding out A tier with Raging Bolt, Ogerpon, Flareon Noctowl, Terrorbox, and Joltik Box. I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Beach Court Podcast. And appreciate you all for supporting, listening. If you enjoyed the episode, feel free to share it with a friend, and or subscribe, like on YouTube, follow us on Spotify. And again, congrats to Eric. Give him some love on Twitter, and you can find us on Twitter too at Beach Court Pod. Plus, I'll link to everything else we do in the description below, or the description of the podcast you're listening to. All right, thanks everyone. And until next time, we'll see you.
See you.